Parvana's Journey, Chapter 14. Layla and Parvana took turns taking care of grandmother. She didn't need much attention. She just stayed in her corner, eating and sleeping. A few times a day, Parvana or Layla would take her a pan, give her some privacy while she used it, and then they would take the pan away again to empty it in the latrine. At first, the children were careful to be quiet around grandmother, but they soon forgot to worry about her and chattered as much inside the house as they did outside. Sometimes Hassan would use her as a prop when he worked on his standing skills. If grandmother minded any of this, she gave no sign. Parvana found some needles and thread in the treasure house. "Let me fix your dress," she said to Layla. "What you've done is pretty, but I think I can make it even prettier." Although the dress Parvana made for Layla had sleeves that weren't even, she wasn't very good at sewing, it did look a little more normal than what Layla had been wearing, and the material she used brought out the blue in the little girl's eyes. One day, weeks after they had arrived, Parvana decided to wash the dust off the shelves in the little house. She remembered how her mother and Noria had endlessly washed out the cupboard in the tiny room the family had shared in Kabul, using up the water she'd had to walk so far to fetch. Maybe they could add a room to their Green Valley house, or even 2 rooms. Her mother, grandmother, and Noria could sleep in one room. Hassan would make a great little brother for her brother Ali, and Asif could share a room with them and watch out for them. She could sleep in the 3rd room with her little sister Mariam and Layla. It would be so wonderful to have everyone together. A pang of missing her family shot through her. She dropped the cloth back in the bucket and dashed up the hill to the lookout point. Layla was already up there. "See anything today?" "I saw some tanks drive by, but I don't think they saw me because they didn't shoot me." "The war won't find us here," Parvana said, stroking Layla's hair. "The road is far away. See any mothers yet?" Layla peered out at the landscape again. No mothers today." "Maybe tomorrow," Parvana said.
"Maybe tomorrow."
Parvana squatted down beside her new sister. "If they don't show up soon, I'll have to go looking for them again."
"We can take turns sitting up here," Layla said. "If one of us was always here, they wouldn't be able to slip by without us spotting them."
I have to continue my journey, Parvana thought. She remembered the long months of being hungry and tired, walking through the countryside. She would be alone this time, too. She couldn't ask Asif to go with her. He was making this place his home, and it would be wrong to take Hassan away from where he was fed and happy.
"You're going to stay here forever, aren't you?"
Layla asked, entwining her fingers with Parvana's.
"We're sisters. You have to stay."
"I'll stay," Parvana said, but she did not say forever. She gave Layla's hand a squeeze, then went back to her house cleaning. "I will continue my search," she vowed out loud as she finished scrubbing the shells. "I will, just not quite yet." That decided, she felt much better, and she took a deep, satisfied breath. Then she looked around the tiny one-room house for something else to do. She had already swept the floor mat with a leafy branch, but she wasn't pleased with the result. It really ought to be taken outside to have the dust beaten out of it. The toe shacks should all be aired out too. Maybe the warm sun would drive the bed bugs and lice out of them. "Mother wouldn't recognize me," Parvana laughed, doing housework without being told. She was even wearing girl clothes all the time again, except when she did nasty cleaning jobs. Her hair was growing back too. Soon she would be able to tuck bits of it behind her ears. She pulled 2 of the 3 toe shacks out of the house and into the yard. Then she bent down, grabbed a corner of the mat, and tugged. But the mat wouldn't move. Grandmother! That was the reason. The mat ran under the toe shack where grandmother crouched. "You need to be aired out just like the furniture," Parvana said. She laughed at herself. She sounded just like her mother's bossy friend, Mrs. Weira. Parvana went out into the yard. Layla had come down from the lookout and was hitting one of the toe shacks with a stick to beat out the dust and bugs. Asif was keeping Hassan entertained with a piece of wood he moved in the dirt like a toy car. He made car noises that Hassan tried to mimic. "Can your grandmother walk?" Parvana asked Layla.
"She could before Mother left."
"Let's bring her outside," Parvana said. "It will be good for her, and it will give us a chance to give the inside of the house a good cleaning." Asif couldn't help much, but he went into the house with them, with Hassan crawling along behind. He liked to try to grab at Asif's crutches as he walked. Parvana and Layla crouched down in front of the old woman.
"We're going to take you outside now, Grandmother,"
Layla said. The woman didn't respond.
"How will we do this?" Layla asked. "We can't carry her." "Pull her out on the toe shack,"
Asif suggested. As if he could understand, Hassan crawled up onto the mattress beside Grandmother. He giggled. The girls grabbed the end of the mattress and slowly pulled it across the room and out the door. Parvana saw Grandmother's old, thin hands grip the sides of the mattress so she wouldn't fall off, but she made no other movement. Hassan laughed at getting a free ride.
"Let's put her in the sun for a while," Layla suggested. "If it gets too hot, we can move her into the shade."
Hassan thought the old woman was something to climb on, so Asif led him back to the game they had been playing. Parvana and Layla brought the floor mat outside, beat the dirt out of it, and left it basking in the sun. Then they gave the inside of the house a good, hard scrubbing until it smelled much better and looked much brighter. They brought Grandmother outside every day after that. One afternoon, when they weren't watching Hassan closely enough, he snatched the chador off the old woman's head, tossed it on his own, and laughed out loud. Grandmother crouched down to cover her face. Layla took the chador away from Hassan and was going to give it back to Grandmother when Parvana stopped her. "Let's wash it first." While it was drying, Layla combed the old woman's long, graying hair with her fingers. Slowly, her body began to unfold and her face lifted to the sun. Parvana wasn't absolutely certain, but she thought she saw the old woman smile. Days and weeks went by, golden days full of sun and enough food and lots of happy work. The sores on Layla's face completely healed, Hassan grew strong, and Asif stopped coughing. Often at night they would sit around the cook fire and tell stories or sing songs. Hassan usually fell asleep in Asif's lap, but sometimes, if Grandmother sat out with them, he would fall asleep against her, and Parvana would see her gently stroke the little boy's hair as he slept. Dear Shazia, on good days, Grandmother sits facing the door when she's inside. Sometimes she has harder days and goes back to facing the wall. I tell her it's okay. I know all about bad days. No sign of our mothers yet. Layla says it's just a matter of time. I hope Noria doesn't go all bossy as soon as she gets here. I hope she respects that I found this place before she did and what I say goes, but that might be too much to hope for. On very, very good days, Grandmother practices standing up. Her legs are not strong enough yet to hold her up for very long. Sometimes Hassan tries to stand at the same time. They practice together, and they look so much alike that it really is very funny to watch. Even Asif laughs, although that isn't very fair of me because he laughs all the time now. We tell Grandmother we're laughing at the baby, but really we're laughing at them both.
"I don't know how to write," Layla said, crouching beside Parvana. "I've never been to school. My mother didn't go, neither did my grandmother. They wanted to send me, but now there's no school."
"I can teach you how to read and write," Parvana said. Asif was sitting nearby holding Hassan's hands and trying to get him to stand on his own. Parvana saw him raise his head, although he didn't say anything.
"Can you teach Grandmother too?"
Parvana nodded.
"Sure. She always wanted to own a book," Layla continued. "She used to tell me that if she had a book, she'd learn to read it, and she would sit and read her book when the work was done for the day. She said it would give her new things to think about, and she'd like that."
Parvana knew at once what to do. There were 2 of her father's books left. One was a small book with a paper cover. The other was large with a hard cover. She took the large book inside to Grandmother. Grandmother was having a bad day. She was back in her usual spot, facing the wall, her head covered over again. "I have a present for you, Grandmother," Parvana said, sliding the book onto the mattress. She placed the old woman's hand on the book's cover. "It's a book for your very own, and I will teach you how to read it." The thin, wrinkled hand slowly stroked the book's cover and thumbed the pages. Parvana was about to go back to Layla when the old woman grabbed her hand and squeezed it. "You're welcome," Parvana said. She slipped her father's last book into her shoulder bag where she kept her letters to Shazia. Her father would be pleased, she thought, and she smiled.